Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Community Access. This week is another great program for you. That's if you like bats. That's right, bats. Terry and photographer Dan Weiss went to the Bat Zone in Pontiac. This one you need to watch. Then we went to the visit with the Canine Rescue League with announcer Rachel Baker. And finally, we went to the crafters at the Addison Library. All today on our program, Our Community Access. Welcome back, the Bat Zone, to promote bat conservation and how to deal with them. With the story is our reporter, Terry Stiles. Terry?
Well, the Malayan flying foxes like Tom and Camilla can have wingspans of up to 6 feet. So that's the biggest type of bat in the world. So we don't have those big bats around here, though.
Okay, Bill, no, I'm not in South America, but I am with a bunch of fruit bats, and I'm also with Dawn Vesna. She's the education specialist at the Bat Zone down in downtown Pontiac. And we're here to talk about how important it is that we conserve the bats that we have here in Michigan. But we're going to find out about these beauties behind us first, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having us here today. And who do you have with you?
This is Gandalf, and this is an Egyptian fruit bat. This bat is not found here in Michigan, but instead is found in the rainforest of Africa. Along with some of the other bats we have behind us, these bats are found in tropical rainforests, and they're actually very important to the rainforest because as they eat fruit, they're also collecting seeds, and they drop those seeds where it's important for new trees to grow. Once a rainforest has been cut down, fruit bats are some of the main animals that help it grow back.
And you were telling me earlier the fruit bats actually don't really eat the fruit, right?
Well, yeah, most of the time the bats are just going to chew and chew and chew on the fruit, sucking out all the juice, and then they spit out the leftovers, which often contain seeds. Here at the Bat Zone, you can also get to see some vampire bats. Vampire bats are probably responsible for giving most bats a bad reputation, but it's very undeserving. Vampire bats are found only in Central and South America, and while they do feed solely on blood, they prefer to feed off animals like cows and chickens. Vampire bats will feed on or make a tiny cut in the cow's ankle and drink about a tablespoon of blood before they fly away. So the cow is not totally drained of blood, and of course the cow doesn't turn into a vampire cow the next day. And believe it or not, there's a special chemical in the vampire bat saliva called an anticoagulant that has now been turned into a medicine that can help people who have had strokes and heart attacks because it can break up blood clots that happen inside of the body. This is still an experimental drug here in the United States, but other countries are using it. So vampire bats can even help to save people's lives.
So we have bats here that don't really belong in Michigan. How do you come by them?
Yeah, most of these bats have come from zoos or other zoo-like facilities. Some of them have special needs or are unable to fly, and so if they have troubles getting around in their previous homes, they're often sent here for us to care for them.
And so we have a variety here. We have fruit bats back here, and these are what?
This here is the Egyptian fruit bat.
And you have several varieties here besides Michigan bats, but how many bats types, species do we have in Michigan?
In Michigan, we have 9 species
Oh my
of bats.
goodness, really?
They're considered to be microbats, which are much smaller than these bats here. This is what we call a megabat. And so the bats we have are a lot smaller than this bat here or the bats behind us.
He's a little bitty one too now. So the big fruit bats behind, we have Tom in the
yeah.
boys, right? And
Yes.
Camilla.
Yep, with the girls. Yep.
How large do they get?
Well, the Malayan flying foxes like Tom and Camilla can have wingspans of up to 6 feet. So that's the biggest type of bat in the world. So we don't have those big bats around here, though.
And now, what would be the smallest then? Would you say is this of the 200? How many species?
In the world, there's over 1,300
Wow.
species. The smallest species of bat is called the bumblebee bat, and it's about the size of a, its body's about the size of a jelly bean, so it's pretty small little animal.
So you wouldn't even know if one landed on you. And let's talk
Barely
about that
notice.
too. So many people freak out about bats. And for me, being here, they have a lot of personality. They're so friendly seeming. No reason to freak out.
No reason to freak out. We're not on the menu for bats, so they have no reason to try to bite us or attack us. Bats want to stay away from us. They have a natural fear of humans, and they prefer to keep a good, safe distance. So as long as you don't try to capture or touch a bat, you should never have to worry about a bat trying to bite you.
And down here, so you are here for the education of bats, not only our Michigan bats, but all bats. You mentioned they're all rabies free or tested
Yes.
here.
Yes, all of our bats have been quarantined if they came from the wild or they've been living in captivity their entire lives. And we do vaccinate them with the rabies vaccine just like you would vaccinate a dog or a cat.
Now you do go on tour with some of the animals, right? But that's not why you have them here. You're actually here as a rehab specialist as well, right?
Well, we're more of an education facility, so we don't actually do a lot of the rehab ourselves here, but we'll provide home for animals who have been rehabbed and are unable to be released to the wild. And then we'll in turn use those animals as education ambassadors to help teach others about the importance of bats.
So let's talk about some of the programs that you do have here. I was on your website, which we will definitely put that at the bottom of the screen when we're done. But it's not just you come in here and give a tour. People are really involved in this conservation, right?
Absolutely. So while the public can come here to the Bat Zone and visit us on the weekends, we also visit schools, libraries, nature centers as well, bringing our bats on the road and teaching people in any venue they want to have us.
And there also are sponsorships. If we want to get involved and there's not much we can do if we don't know, volunteering might not be an option. How do people support this conservation?
Yeah, well, of course, we are a nonprofit organization, so we do depend heavily on donations and sponsorships. We have animal sponsorships where you can make a monthly donation to help support our animal ambassadors, providing vet care, food, and housing for them. And then you often get cute little gifts as well in return and updates on those sponsored animals.
Well, that's what I kind of saw on the website, that there actually is an animal that you can identify with, their names and a little bit about them. That's really neat for kids to learn, and it's good for my soul too to be able to do something like that. So let's talk about your website and how people can contact you and maybe the hours that they can come in here for a tour.
Sure. Yep. So our website is batconservation.org. Here in Pontiac, we are open on Friday evenings from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Sundays from 12 noon to 4 p.m.
Okay, right. And there's no limit to the size group, or is there a limit? Say you want to bring a whole group of kids in here. What about school groups?
Well, with school groups, if they want to visit, we tend to try to book those on our off public hours, and we can do private tours for those groups.
And you just moved here? You didn't used to be able to be found here. Is this a new venture for you guys?
Yes, we just moved here in June of 2016. We were previously at the Cranbrook Institute of Science, which we had a great relationship with them, and we were there for many years. However, as we grew, we were starting to run out of space that Cranbrook could provide for us. So we're here now in our own building with a lot more space.
Yeah, right downtown Pontiac. We're going to go find out more about Michigan bats and what we can do to help them, so don't go away.
Catch us anytime on YouTube. Go to Oxford Community Television YouTube.
Hi, welcome back to our Community Access. I'm still down here at the Bat Zone in Pontiac with Dawn, and now we're looking at Michigan bats. And that's important to me because I want to talk about how to conserve the bats in Michigan with Dawn and how to deal with them if you have them. But you talk about this little guy a little bit.
Yeah, this right here is called the big brown bat. And believe it or not, this is one of the largest of the 9 species found here in Michigan. It's also a very common species in the lower peninsula of Michigan. And unfortunately, sometimes they do get into people's houses. If you do discover a bat in your house, the best thing to do is to try to get a box or a thick towel and some work gloves, some leather work gloves, and you can scoop the bat up into the towel and then place it into a box and then take it outside. An important thing also to remember is that bats often have difficulties flying from the ground, so it's best to release the bat to the base of a tree so the bat can climb up the tree and get back up into the air. But you can try to put a box over it and then slide a piece of cardboard underneath. It's definitely best if you can avoid picking the bat up with your hands, especially bare hands. So if you do encounter a bat, look for some work gloves, a towel, a box, scoop the bat up, and then put it outside next to the base of a tree.
And I'm saying, please don't hit it with a tennis racket. I've heard that story so many times. And we do want to try to conserve them. They're losing their habitat, aren't they?
For sure. You know, a lot of our bats like to live in dead or dying trees, but dead trees can be dangerous in our neighborhoods. They could blow over in a storm onto a power line or somebody's house. So we often have to remove dead trees from our neighborhoods, making it difficult for bats to find good places to live, which sometimes could make them want to take residence in our homes because they just don't have other options.
So when we find them in our homes and we get them out, you do have kind of a recipe for taking care of that so that it doesn't happen again on your website. So
Yes.
again, I want to talk about this website. It's so wonderful to look at. And again, we'll put that on the bottom of the screen. But if you also want to help conserve bats, let's talk about the bat houses.
Yeah.
Do you want to put her back in the cage?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put her
Okay.
back. She's getting a little wiggly.
So Dawn had to put that baby back in the cage. They are so cute. You should see them in person. So if we want to help conserve bats, number one, okay, don't let them go in your house on purpose, but what can we do for them?
Yeah, so a great way you can help save bats is by putting up a bat house like this one right over here. These bat houses can actually provide a home or habitat for up to 100 bats in this bat house right here. Bats often live in close family groups called colonies, and they'll often spend their whole lives living together. And don't forget, not only would you be helping bats, but they'll be helping you. Each bat that lives in that bat house could eat about 3,000 pesky insects, including mosquitoes that plague us in our backyards, but also moths and beetles that attack our backyard gardens or our farmers' crops. Some of the fruits and vegetables that bats here in Michigan help to protect are tomatoes, apples, and corn because they eat their insect pests.
Oh, that's good to know. So you hear that, everybody? Be nice to those bats. And above all, come down to the Bat Zone. We are downtown Pontiac, right on Huron and Wide Track. We'll put the hours up on the screen so that you can come down here, contribute that way if you don't want to build a bat box. But chances are, in the evening, you'll see bats flying through your neighborhood. Be kind to them, right?
Exactly, yes. They're doing you a favor. You may not notice it, but they're eating thousands of insects every night.
Dawn, thanks for having us here today. It's been a great education, and they're lovely. They're lovely. Come on down and see them. Be kind to your bats. Come down and make friends with them.
We found that our story was really interesting for us, and Terry will be visiting with more information with the Bat Zone on another future program. Next up, the Canine Rescue League just does an incredible job of saving dogs from puppies to old dogs. With this story is a reporter, Rachel Baker. Rachel?
We're at Canine Story Rescue League in Oxford, Michigan on Metamora Road, and I'm here with Lori Stevenson. Hi, Lori.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. So I understand this is a non-profit organization, a no-kill league.
Yes, we are.
All right. What is your mission here?
We go to animal control facilities and rescue as many dogs with good temperaments as we can before they get euthanized due to space. And we do take some owner surrenders too before they end up in a kill shelter.
What inspired you to start rescuing?
I walked into animal control and seen how many really great dogs were being euthanized due to capacity. Their stray hold time is very short, and new dogs are coming in all the time, and they've only got so much space. So when the stray hold's up, if the dog, no one comes for the dog or adopts the dog will be euthanized. So yeah, I just seen some really great dogs being euthanized, and it changed my life.
So like in big cities where their capacity is much smaller, they keep the dogs for a less amount of time. How long do they keep them typically?
Typically it's 5 business days. That's
Wow.
their stray hold period. And a lot of animal controls are trying to adopt out adoptable dogs now, but still the capacity gets in their way, so they still run into having to euthanize, and we try to prevent that.
How many dogs do you have here?
We always have between 50 and 55 dogs here on site. They're all spay and neutered. They get their rabies vaccine, they're heartworm tested, they're current on heartworm preventative, they get wormed. We make sure they have all their other vaccines, their distemper, parvo, parainfluenza, bordetella, and then they go up for adoption.
And they're all of good temperament too. How do you determine that?
We actually use the ASPCA evaluation. And we've got a girl that's certified, and she's got a team, and all the dogs here get evaluated before they're put up for adoption. And we gauge, what type of home, as far as single dog home, or kids over 4, kids over 8, adult only home. We don't want the quickest home. We want the best fit for the dog.
And how do you evaluate that?
Do the ASPCA evaluation.
Perfect.
Guides us and shows us, it's very thorough. And we do like a tag test, and you test for food aggression. If a dog has protective instincts around their food bowl or toys, so you definitely don't want a 2-year-old child on the floor crawling around their toys or food bowl.
So, evaluation on the dogs, they're family ready.
Yes.
And I also wanted to ask, what services do you provide here for dogs?
Actually, we're just the rescue unit. We don't do any medical for outside.
Strictly rescue.
It's just strictly rescue.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How many calls do you get, or do you get them often? And how far do you typically go for a rescue?
All over Michigan. And we do take dogs out of Ohio and a few out of West Virginia. Right now, actually, we've got some linemen down in Puerto Rico that are working with us, and are going to try and get a couple dogs from Puerto Rico up to us because it's really bad down there right now.
For sure.
And then we helped, when the hurricane hit Florida this year, we helped empty the shelters down there to prepare them to be ready for when the hurricane hit and the dogs were lost, so that they'd have space. So we go all over.
Wow, that is really, really impressive, especially for just a small town rescue league. You guys are really reaching far and wide.
Yes, we do. We try and make a difference.
How can people help? I understand, like, sitting at home, maybe dog owners are going, I want to help these guys. I've never really heard of them before. How can we help in terms of donations and volunteering?
Donations, are as simple as newspapers, towels, old blankets, dog food, leashes, collars, flea shampoo, bleach, toys for dogs, treats, peanut butter without xylitol in it, And then as far as volunteers, we do everything here. I mean, we care for the dogs, we clean, we do laundry, talk to customers, answer the phones. It's a wide variety of things that we do and that the volunteers are needed for. We couldn't do it without the volunteers. We couldn't do it without our community either.
And how often do you have adoption events?
We have adoption events every weekend at Pet Stuff, Harvest Time Pet Stuff in Oxford here. That is the second and fourth Saturday of every month. We go there from 11 to 2. And then on the first and third Saturday of every month, we're at Petco on Baldwin Road in Auburn Hills. And we're there from 11 to 4. And then we're open here every day except for Tuesday and Wednesday. And the dogs are available for meet and greet. And yep, come find a dog.
That's great. Come find a new family member. Ladies and gentlemen, they are packed full and they are ready and waiting for a new family to be met with. Also wanted to ask, do you have any volunteer events, or do you have times and places where you let the dogs out and you said meet and greets? How often and when do you do those?
Any day that we're open, and we're here Monday, Thursday, and Sunday 1 to 4. Friday 2 to 5, and Saturday 12 to 4. So you can come in during any of those hours, and if you see a dog that you like, you can meet them and take them out for a walk and see if it's a good match.
All right, and finally to end, how many dogs get adopted and what happens to the dogs when they don't?
This past year we did about 637 adoptions, and the dogs stay with us until they do get adopted. Lots of times the long-term dogs will end up in foster homes, which helps decompress them before we find them a family. And yeah, all of us have foster dogs at our houses too. So
that's really beautiful. So ladies and gentlemen, come and pick up a dog if you're ready and you're a willing family who wants to love a little lovable human being, right? We've got dogs here. All right. Thank you very much. Back to you, Bill.
Just another great story that giving dogs a new leash on life. Next up, we sent our photographer Lori Rash to visit with Addison Library crafters.
I got with Anita because she knitted and crocheted together, and we thought, okay, they had extra time in the library. We started on Thursday nights and for a couple hours, and we put the word out, and a batch of us ladies to get together and chat and bring food and have a good time. And
we are open. We had a hand quilter, anything that you can do on the tabletop, anything that you can put in your lap, you're more than welcome.
Knitting magic hug squares for children with cancer to the White Lake Township Library, and then they give them to somebody else, and they have Beanie Babies. They get the little Beanie Babies, and they wrap the Beanie Babies in a magic square, and there's a little poem that goes with it, and it's given to children at a lot of the local hospitals, major hospitals that are having their first chemo treatments.
I'm working on a yarn cake holder, which is just to hold the yarn that I'm actually working from into one ball. They actually call them cakes because they look like a cake. They actually look like birthday cakes. My friend wants slippers, so I'm working on slippers for him and a blanket for myself, a summer blanket, and I misjudged how small it would be, so I took it all out, and now it is over 5 feet wide, and I just keep adding more and more yarn to it, so eventually it will just cover the bed. Start out just the size of this table, a throw that would you just use on the couch.
It's called Zentangle, and it's just making a lot of little designs. You fill in a space with different designs, and I just am self-taught. I've got several books, and I just learn how to do some of the patterns.
So it's like anything that's crafty, that you want to do, just be around other people so that you're not just sitting there at home all by yourself.
Thanks to the Addison Library Crafters. Well, that's all the time we have this week. We enjoyed our program. So for our announcers, Rachel Baker, and announcer and editor Terry Stiles, and for our photographers, Lori Risch, and bat photographer, Dan Zweiss, I'm Bill Service, and you have a great, great week.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.